Hello, die-hard viewers of Managing Africa. You're welcome to this edition of the program. My name is Nadine Mebune, and tonight we are going to be discussing cross-border trade in African countries, but we will dive specifically to Cameroon and Nigeria. And that, my dear viewers, is because the former president of Nigeria, is coming to Cameroon for that purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, join me on set as we welcome Albert Ngwana, who is going to give us more information about cross-border trade between Cameroon and Nigeria. Welcome back, televiewers of Managing Africa. As promised, we have our special guest of today's edition right on set with us. It's a pleasure to have you on board Managing Africa today, Mr. Albert.
It's a pleasure being on this set.
How are you doing?
Doing very well.
Tell us, do you sports?
Do I?
Do you sports? Do you do sports?
I do sports.
Okay.
I'm an old man doing sports.
Great. I would like to see you do that. All right. So let's, is it safe to call you a Pan-Africanist? Because, you know, reading through your profile and listening to you talk, one can actually tell how much love and enthusiasm you have for Africa. Tell us, are you a Pan-Africanist?
Well, if you define Pan-Africanist as somebody who likes to solve African problems as a whole, then I'm a Pan-Africanist. Right. My business is Africa. You know, I have a love for Africa that many don't have, in the sense that the problems of Africa are my business.
That's right.
You know, and the resolution of them is what we do. How
would you say that the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Africa is? What's your rating of that?
Well, it's a work in progress. Yeah. I believe that we have to go through this period. It's a big work in progress. We're dealing with a culture of business that we're not very familiar with, but we are getting there. I think industrialization, complete industrialization, requires us to go through this process. You know, and the ecosystem for entrepreneurship in Africa is at the right point where it should be, because the business world is transforming with artificial intelligence, with you know, how can I call it? The jumping totally from no technology to perfect technology. Yes. I believe that Africa is going to be global in a very short period of time.
That's amazing. Now, let's talk about After Group and what you do on After Group. Tell us about it.
After is a company founded in 2001 in the United States of America. We're registered in Delaware. After actually stands for Assisting, Facilitating Trade, Entrepreneurship, and Life. Okay. You know, many confuse it with African Telecom, but it isn't. Our business is the problems of Africa. We basically provide turnkey services to government and to its private sector. Okay. So we want to make many dreams come true in Africa, basically. Wow.
That's amazing. You know, most Africans, or rather many people, actually see problems in Africa, which is one of the reasons why I called you a Pan-Africanist, because you don't seem to be affected by the issues that Africa has. You rather see, you know, solutions. You rather see an opportunity to create something.
You know, doing business in Africa is not the easiest because of the hurdles you have to go through. But, you know, African business is the best business in the world. You know, I see Africa as a work in progress. You know, where people find challenges in Africa, that's where our business really comes from. We try to eliminate all those challenges, and that's our business. You know, so for me, Africa is everything. You know, I'd rather be in Africa than anywhere else in the world.
Wow, that's beautiful.
No matter my allegiances or education or whatever.
That's
I believe that, you know, when a child is growing and reaches a certain age, is a big wall in front of it. And that's what that's where Africa is right now.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard that. And one of the things I picked from our guest tonight is the fact that he said entrepreneurship in Africa is where it should be. And that's a point to note. Now, tell us, aside being the CEO of Aftel Group, I do understand that you also work in partnership with Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who is known to be one of Africa, who is known to be someone that has contributed a lot, enormously, to Africa. Your adventure with Agro Allied Business Limited is a lot. Tell us about that.
I'm very glad you asked that question. President Obasanjo is an incredible human being in the first place. You know, with an incredible experience. He's a great statesman, great lover of peace.
Yes.
You know, and he's very spiritual these days. And he believes in Africa as a whole.
Yes.
He believes in African business. He wants Africans to develop themselves, to be where they need to be. The story with President Obasanjo is an interesting one.
Okay.
You know, for the last 10 years prior to meeting him, I stopped going to Nigeria after my father passed. Oh. And one day I saw him on television talking about cross-border trade. Mm-hmm. You know, the African Free Trade Alliance or what. This led me to say, you know, I was shocked. I mean, I'm looking at this man, this old guy talking about cross-border trading. And I said to myself, yes, this guy is talking about cross-border trading, but I don't see him in Cameroon, you know? Mm-hmm. Why is he talking about cross-border trading when he's not present in the neighboring country? So I decided to go to Nigeria and offer him a concept paper.
Okay.
This cross-border trading that he's talking so much about. When they wrote across a little concept paper asking him, how can you be talking about cross-border trading when you're not even present in Cameroon? Suppose I aggregate plantains and I bring them to Nigeria. Mm-hmm. What am I going to bring? What is it? How does that work? So he got the paper and he thought that was pretty funny. He invited me immediately to Abeokuta. When there, I said, maybe this guy just wants to give me a lesson in business or something. Yeah. You know, I go there and I see this man who I thought was a huge guy, small guy coming out running a little bit. And he was laughing. So I said, you know, we have something going on here. You know, he said to me, look, listen, my people and I have been thinking about this, trying to do this. He said, yes, suppose you come to Nigeria with, you know, all these your plantains you're talking about. What would you like to go back to Cameroon with? I said, well, for one, what will make the plantains grow, you know? Mm-hmm. Fertilizers. Okay. And I see this man pick up his phone, call Dangote. I have my young Cameroonian friend here. He says he needs fertilizers. That's why I became a licensed exporter. Aftel became licensed exporters of fertilizers of Dangote refinery, petroleum, Dangote fertilizers. Then he says, what else do you need? I said, you know, to do business in Africa, you need a good bank.
Yes, that's
so right. He offered me some banks, and I said, no, I want access, because it seemed like a bank that is moving forward. Mm-hmm. We're in Abeokuta, which is 3 hours away from Lagos. He calls the founders of Access, tells them, I have my young Cameroonian friend, he needs a bank. I give him other banks, but he says, you guys are the bank he needs. They take the car, drive 3 hours to Abeokuta, meets me, and he tells them, look, listen, I don't have an account with you people, but I am his collateral. That's the kind of man Obasanjo is. He
could go that far.
Yes, and you know, that's why he's called Baba. He's like a father figure to Africans. You know, and he went that far. Wow. So as he was saying that, you know, the obvious thing became he had to have a presence in Cameroon.
That's right.
Because that is his neighbor.
Yes.
And he has done so many great things for Cameroon.
Yes.
You know, with the Bakassi Treaty, all those kinds of things. And he loves Cameroon, by the way. So he tells me that, you know, you ask me these questions. I would like to bring my business to Cameroon. But let's say I bring my farming business in Cameroon, because Obasanjo is considered the #1 farmer in Africa.
Okay.
How will I feed my library? Do you people have animal feed? I looked at him. I said, look, listen, if we don't have animal feed, I'll give you the land to build.
To go there.
So I say, how much land do you need? He says, well, my farm, 200 hectares, and land enough to build, to feed my feed and all that kind of stuff. He said, on that 400. So I said, no problem. Then we entered into MOUs. That's how we started business in general. So I got him, well, we got a concession for 610 hectares for him in Kribi.
Okay.
People say, why Kribi? Why not this? Why not that? Because Kribi is a deep sea port.
Definitely.
A new deep sea port that does 80% of its business with Nigeria, okay, which a lot of people don't know. And it is a great environment for cross-border trading. So after that is done, he says, how do I implement this thing? The first thing he did was that he says he has to have a presence in Cameroon, registered his company.
Okay.
You know, this company in Cameroon.
Which is, of course, the Agro Allied Business Limited.
Yes, it's a company registered in Cameroon.
Okay.
Okay. And then decided that he was going to come to Kribi at one point in time, but he's going to drive in business to Kribi. Mm-hmm. So when we're registering this company and dealing with the port, you know, we asked him, what do you really want to do in Cameroon? He said, I would like to do 3 things. My farm, agriculture, yes, agriculture in general, wood transformation, and shipping and maritime, which I couldn't imagine that this Baba fellow would like to do shipping and maritime. I don't know what that is. But at the end of it, he decided to drive business from Nigeria to the tune of $650 million to come to the port of Kribi.
Okay.
You know, and start from there. And then, since there's proximity, 80% of the traffic is with Nigeria. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a great seaport with incredible land. It's good for tourism also, and all those things. You know, so it's a great starting point for him. He decided to do that. That's how the whole thing went on. That's
a very beautiful encounter, you know. But that's really beautiful. Let's talk about what this is for you. Your encounter with him, you partnering with him and doing business together. What does this mean for you?
Well, for one, it makes me believe that my story about Africa is real.
Great.
You know, this is one of the biggest leaders Africa has ever had.
That's right.
Man with wisdom. Mm-hmm. And if you can see the way I see, it's already a lot of progress. I believe that he's giving me a different view. He's giving me the opportunity, mm-hmm, to want to really do more for Africa. And I believe that the cross-border trading is the proper way for Africa. All of Africa should be open, you know, so that we can exchange like in the old days and get proper business done, mm-hmm, that concerns Africa and that elevates Africa.
Now, the business that Agro Allied Business is doing, what is the impact of that economically to Africa, no, rather to Cameroon and to Nigeria, to be specific?
Well, let me put it this way. This business adventure, yes, is really meant to create approximately 30,000 jobs in the in Cameroon, especially.
Okay.
Because it leads to banana transformation, okay, leads to maize transformation, it leads to soya transformation. It leads to a lot of things that have to do with these 2 countries. You have to also see that Nigeria is a country of nearly 250 million people.
Great.
Even if the whole of Cameroon is a farm, we will not be able to feed Nigeria.
Wow, that's interesting.
So what it does is that it gives the opportunity for these 2 countries, mm-hmm, which are similar, really brother countries, to really gel and be able to face the world better. It is a great, it has a great economic impact for the future. That's right. You know.
Now let's talk about the ongoing projects that you have. What are you looking forward to? What are some of the projects that you are working on right now?
Okay, thank you for saying that. We're working on railroads.
Okay.
We're working on a monorail for Douala and Yaoundé. Mm-hmm. But with President Obasanjo, his farm, wood transformation, as I said, is bringing in his partners, CFAX for one, who control pretty much 60% of the Lagos port, to come to Kribi and establish themselves, what they do, so that the traffic of Kribi increases a lot. So instead of ships standing in Lagos, they can do a lot of transshipment in Kribi and have movements of goods and the flow of business go much faster. And then, of course, hospitality. Kribi is a seaport, it's an incredible touristic area. His partners have the franchise for Marriott. They intend to put a five-star hotel, a five-star Marriott hotel in Kribi. You know, also doing alternative energy with solar farm, doing a 100-hectare farm in Kribi. Without talking about things like that he thinks about, you know, alternative energy for ships. I'm
very sure you have a lot going on right there. But I also think, or rather, a little bird tells me that the president is going to be in Cameroon sometime soon.
Yes.
Let's talk about his visit to Cameroon and what is the impact of this visit? What's the purpose of the visit to begin with?
Well, you know, when you do business, you have to enter into contracts, lasting contracts that sustain your business, that make your business. Ones, that's right. So, since May of last year, President Obasanjo has expressed his wish to come to Cameroon to finalize all contracts, and then pretty much meet our president and you know, just show the goodwill of his goodwill towards the people of Cameroon.
We started with the beautiful encounter you had with him.
Yeah, but I think he's had a long journey to Cameroon prior to me.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, but what I'm saying in that whole process, he's coming also with partners, a consortium of partners, who are going to do the same thing to us. So we're going to bring the technicians are coming during the week next week, for spend 3 days in Kribi, to prepare all to finalize everything so that he comes and officially cuts this ribbons for the things that he wants to implement. President Obasanjo is a man of 90 years old. He's a 90-year-old man. He's very pragmatic.
Yeah.
You know, he's ready to do what he says he's going to do. And that's why he's coming to do what he says he's going to do.
And what is this visit going to look like? Can you give us a little rundown?
Yes, as I said, the first 3 days prior to his visit, we're going to have all kinds of technicians come to Cameroon, meet with the port, because the port is our first partner. Is the main partner for this business since we're going to Kribi. They meet with the port, sign concessions, or prepare the concessionary documents, prepare all the contracts that need to be signed by Obasanjo and the president. Basically, that's the first part of the visit. Of course, it's also cultural in the sense that, you know, we have it cultural. And then the second part is President Obasanjo and the leaders of these companies coming down, signing these contracts and starting work, so that work may start. Okay. Basically.
All right. Now let's look at the business initiative itself. I'm going to talk about the Agro Elite Business Limited, which is being implemented in Cameroon, and its impact as far as the African Continental Free Trade Area is concerned. How do you link this partnership you have with Agro Elite Business Limited to the concept of the African Continental Free Trade Area?
Okay, one thing I have to tell you is that the company registered in Cameroon is a 100% owned company by President Obasanjo. Okay. We have a joint company together which carries the global African businesses we do, which is called AVCD, of which is a majority shareholder. But the agro-business partnership we have with him is basically for now to do farming, agriculture in general, wood transformation, maritime and shipping. Yes. Now, the partners he brings in, which are come in and they participate in this whole thing because of him. You know, his I can't say his power, his influence is making these people come from wherever. I mean, there are people coming from China, coming from different parts of the world because they want to be under his umbrella. That's all. Now, with regards to Africa as a whole, it just shows that two major nations, like neighboring nations in Africa, like Cameroon and Nigeria, can do perfect trade within them, amongst themselves.
That's right.
You know, there are many, what we do right now, we export 100% finished products from Cameroon to Nigeria. And Nigeria has the ecosystem to absorb everything we do. For example, Cameroonian chocolate, fantastic. Cameroonian coffee, the best in the world. You know, there's honey. There are many finished products that we are going. Plantain, which was the first subject of discussion, we're a full 100% off-taker of an association that is doing plantain with 3 million farmers. You know, so when you look at that whole thing, we're creating new markets. Okay. You know, and these markets are finished products. That means that we're really doing the industrialization process. That means that they're transforming products, making them feel. Equipment is coming, you know, and technology is, you know, you have various things that are going on in that whole space, you know, and distribution. And then with the AI of this new generation, they're digitalizing a lot of things, making it easier for us. So business is ongoing. Africa is beyond agrarian business. Artisanal, we can do, and we are where we are supposed to be, and going forward. You know.
What is it? It's true. You've mentioned it already, but be specific. What is there? What is it in there for Cameroonians? What should Cameroonians be expecting to benefit from this role, the business that you're doing?
As I said earlier, we're looking at 30,000 employment, 30,000 jobs for Cameroonians. We're looking at an increased business space, you know. So in any sense, Cameroon is going to profit a lot, you know. There's going to be technology exchange. When I say technology exchange, it's knowledge exchange. It's going to be how does Nigeria do its business in terms of distribution? What can Cameroon benefit from it? You know, and various aspects, new equipment, new knowledge. You know, there's going to be shared knowledge. And as I said, goods will be going back and forth. The economy is going to profit from all this activity. So I believe that it is a win-win situation.
That's right. Yeah.
And also, don't forget, Kribi does 80% of his business with Nigeria as we speak.
Okay. So Cameroon has a lot to benefit as Nigeria also does.
Yes.
Great. Now let's talk about investments in Africa. I do understand that you have great love and passion for Africa. And however, there are people who hesitate from, you know, making investments in the continent. What is the advice you have for such people?
I believe, as I said to everybody I meet, business is a win-win situation.
That's right.
It cannot be only win for one party and the other party suffers the pain to make the one party win.
That's right.
It's a win-win situation. Okay. I believe that today and since the beginning of time, Africa has been the richest continent, but has been exploited to no extent. Now what is happening is that Africa is taking Africa back. You know, not only with the new technologies that are coming, but with transformation. You know, we used to be that we import everything, we don't transform anything. We have transformation unit for banana, plantain, and soya bean that's coming up. You know, you have to realize, for example, that most of the Nigerian swallow, which is fufu in the is reinforced with banana, with plantain flour. You know, in Cameroon is the biggest producer of plantain. You know, we're going to be transforming this plantain. And Nigerians, we have a captive market in Nigeria. There's so many things that we have captive markets for. So, for those who want to invest in Africa, you know, Africa is a student that has learned. Okay, we are ready to do business on a win-win basis, Because what we have, you need, okay? And you're consuming what you have, we also need. But now, we're not only the consumers, we're making what you eat or what we need. Yes. You understand, which is a big thing. So the transformation, the industrialization process, economically, it is a win-win situation for Africa. People coming to Africa have to understand that it's not only about risk. Every business is risk. It's risk adverse, right? But it's also about a win-win situation. How does it benefit the Africans also?
That's right.
You know, how do we move forward? You understand? If you win, I win, business goes well. If you're only winning and I'm not winning, I stay poor and I need.
That's right.
It cannot happen anymore. We've passed that stage in Africa.
Exactly. Well, we are gradually coming to the end of this conversation, but I'm not going to let you go. The entrepreneurs that are watching you right now, they want to learn from you. You've had a beautiful journey that everyone will want to learn from. Now, tell us your insights. What do you have to tell these people who are hesitating to make these steps, you know, as far as entrepreneurship is concerned?
I think that we have to really be aware that this is a different world economic order.
Okay.
Entrepreneurship in Africa should be the order of the day. It's just that we have to have the good ecosystem to enable this whole situation. You know, it's already part of our culture.
That's right.
You understand? With artificial intelligence, with the development of technology, we're going much further. You know, I was talking to a young man and telling him that, look, Africa, everybody in Africa needs to be digitalized. He looked at me and thought, hey, what's this guy talking about? Yes, because you could make a perfect house in a swamp.
That's right.
And people want to live there. Why? Because you provide them everything. If, I'm telling you where we are in Africa today, if you provide somebody a perfect house in a swamp, and he can get to where he needs to get, he can get some permanent electricity, permanent water, have a pool, have a gym, whatnot. Even the minister will want to stay in that place.
That's right.
You understand? So what I tell young people is that if you have the drive, you know how to do what you need to do, and you inform yourself about your business, then you're part of the game. You know, you can contribute to the economy greatly. So, and that's what is very important.
Thank you so much for that. I have learned a lot, and I'm very sure that our viewers of Managing Africa have taken something back home from your words. Now, tell us, do you have any last words? Do you have anything you want the viewers of Managing Africa to know right now?
Well, what I would like to say is that the population should support the initiative of President Obasanjo.
Okay.
As a businessman, statesman coming to Cameroon. I should welcome him. President Obasanjo has done so much for Cameroon, and he is so happy to come here. It will be a pleasure to see many welcoming the president, and also to participate in this investment he is bringing to Cameroon. You know, I encourage every young man who is ready to work to get into this entrepreneurship mode. You know, the more you work for somebody else, the least money you make. So if
you work for somebody else, the least money you make.
The conclusion being that entrepreneurship to serve the whole. You understand? And if we could have entrepreneurship to serve the whole, and if we can also transform what we have into finished products, into products that are useful to the whole world, you know, then we are where we need to be.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us here on Managing Africa. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the program. And at this point, I'm going to say you have a lovely day. And thanks for staying with us. Now to you, televiewers, we've come to the end of this edition of the program. Thanks indeed for the copious privilege of your time. And continue to keep it here on Dash Television for more interesting programs that are coming up. Have a lovely day and stay tuned to Dash TV. Bye-bye.
Thank you.